Hi there, hope you're well. In this one I'm making some little divider insert boxes for the Sustainer tool tote that I made a few weeks back, and I'm making these out of an expensive 4mm birch ply. That's not the normal expensive 4mm birch ply. This is properly pricey aircraft grade certified birch plywood. So a few weeks back I watched a video by Adam Savage at Tested. I think he was making kitchen drawer dividers or something like that. I had the impression that he was using some kind of premium grade spruce plywood, but it turns out, once I watched it again and paid attention, that it was plywood from Aircraft Spruce, a company that sells you stuff to spruce up your aircraft. Of course it does. Adam had a 3mm birch ply with 6 layers. I've never come across anything like that before. So I did a little bit of digging around here in the UK, and after a couple of blind alleys, I turned up the Swindon Aircraft Timber Company. Sounds like they're definitely the kind of place I need to pay a visit to. I'll put a link down below to all this stuff. Anyway, the appropriately named Tim Wood there sorted me out with a half sheet of 4mm birch ply with SATCO certification. I don't know what that means. Anyway, it arrived this week, and it is an absolutely fascinating product. As I say, I've never come across it before. It's a birch ply from Finland, and the 4mm ply has 8 layers. A full sheet is 1270 by 1270 millimeters, 50 inches square or thereabouts, and I bought a half sheet, 1270 by 630. It's not cheap, it's got to be said. About £96, $120, including VAT and delivery. It is interesting in a lot of ways. It has an even number of ply layers. 4mm ply has 8 layers, so half a millimeter thick. We can do maths. Regular birch ply usually has an odd number of layers, and an 8x4 sheet, you have one side that's sort of long grain and the other side that's short grain. Obviously with a square sheet like this, it doesn't matter so much, but it's always something that you have to bear in mind when you're cutting ordinary birch ply from an 8x4. Now, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not going to be building an aircraft, not just yet anyway. But as I said earlier, I'm making some little inserts for the Sustainer tote, the Sis tote. I had a couple of questions around stuff falling into the hole where the handle goes. I never found that to be a particular problem, to be perfectly honest, mostly because it was jammed full of stuff. But I also used these coloured Sustainer boxes to keep the smaller stuff in. You used to be able to pick these up literally for pennies, 40, 50 pence each. These days they're more like sort of £7 or £8 a piece. So it made a bit of sense to make some plywood ones, possibly not from SATCO certified aircraft grade plywood, and to be honest, a hobby pack of the 4mm ply in A3, which you need the length for, would have been about £45. I want to give a quick shout out to 10 Minute Workshop Plus members David Lampart, who suggested birch laser ply from Tilgear. I'll link all this down below. And David Chisnell suggested aero ply from Chiltern Timber if you wanted the very thin 0.8 or 1.5mm thicknesses. Links in the description as always. That super thin ply is also available in larger sheets, 1500mm square, 5 foot square or thereabouts, though I'm not sure I'd want to fly in an aircraft skinned with 0.8mm ply. But anyway, I'll be putting together 4 little inserts for this top tray, 1 long one that covers the length of the tote, and 3 smaller ones that fit around the handle on the other side. I'll put the dimensions that I used in a fact sheet in the newsletter. The next newsletter coming out should be next weekend. And of course, if you're making this for yourself, then you know what the dimensions are because you've already made one, and I'm sure you can do the maths on that. I've already made the 2 end boxes, and these are all constructed in the same way as the tote itself. So a full-length base, ends that sit on the base, and the sides that tie all that together by butting up against that U shape. Hilariously, my 23 gauge headless nailer decided that now was the perfect time to stop working. So I'll just be gluing these together with a fast grub PVA, But I'll also have a dot of C8 adhesive at either end as well, so they act like little tack welds or spot welds to hold everything in place while the PVA goes off. One thing I do like to do when I'm just gluing up stuff like this is to have an upright clamp to the bench so that I can bear against it while the CA glue grabs, and knowing that it's all nice and square. Now, one thing I do need to do with the inserts either side of the handle is to continue that cutout shape, and I can do that with the 10-minute workshop router multi-jig. This will be out very soon, by the way. And then I can finish off on the bandsaw for the smaller insert. And I'll add a little round over on the larger insert, the full length one. So while the glue sets on those, let me just remind you that I'll be at Makers Central next weekend. That's May the 18th and 19th at Birmingham NEC. And I'll be there on stand E34 alongside Stuart from Proper DIY, Matt Estley will be there, Leo from Hand Eye Craft, Carpenter's daughter Vicky Lee, and Charlie from Charlie DIY as well. We're also doing a live Q&A on Saturday the 18th at 12:30 on stage number 1. So if you're there, be sure to stop by and ask us anything you like. Maybe join us on the stand afterwards to continue the conversation. It'll be a busy weekend, that one, as I'll also be at the Materials and Finishes show, also at the NEC on Monday the 20th, where I'll be having a live chat with Robin Clevert. Derek Barrett from Derek Barrett Design will be there, and Alistair Johnson from Freebird Interiors too. And I'll be floating around on the Tuesday with whatever's left of my voice, trying to catch up with a few folks and to see what the show has to offer. So if you see me wandering about, be sure to say hello and I'll try and croak a response. So that's next weekend, May 18th and 19th at Maker Central, and Monday and Tuesday 20th and 21st the following week at the Materials and Finishes show, all at the NEC, and look forward to seeing you there. Glue all nicely firmed up, and I can give these a very gentle rub over, and then we can check them out for fit. So I've got to say, that is all looking pretty sweet in there. Of course, I've made them this shape because it suits me. If you're making these for yourself, you can make them any shape you want to fit whatever tools you have. Subdivide that space however you like to suit you best. And I have to say, the aircraft grade birch ply is a pleasure to work with. It's a lovely quality board, as it should be, to be perfectly frank, for this kind of price, of course. I'm not sure what else I'll use this for. Maybe I'll bring a couple of samples with me to the NEC next week, but I'm going to call this one done for this week. Thanks so much for taking a look. I'm not sure if I'll have anything out for next week, what with Maker Central and the material finishes show and everything, but I usually do a live walk around before the show opens, so be sure to watch out for that one. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. All right, take care.